promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and 7 p.m. in Cotonou. Good evening and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. First, our top stories. 39th African Union Summit gets underway in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Africa is blessed with majestic rivers like the Nile, Niger, and Zambezi. Our approach towards these resources should be guided by the principle of Ubuntu.
U.S. government to deploy 200 troops to combat Islamist militants in Nigeria. Burkina Faso shuts down nearly 40 private health centers over illegal operations. And Ghana's parliament speaker orders reintroduction of anti-LGBTQ bill for plenary debate.
The bill does not contravene any constitutional provision of the 1992 Constitution. The committee advised that the bill be introduced in the House.
Please stay tuned for details of the stories and more.
On the news, this is a More Edit.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. We'll begin in Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital, as the African Union 39th Summit gets underway today. Foreign ministers, ambassadors, and delegates are all present at the Executive Council, which paves the way for a wider consultation by heads of states in the coming days. The council kicked off with speeches reminding the continent of the imperative to rethink and redirect actions to resolve some of the issues it faces. From the AU headquarters, Abdullahi Hassan reports.
The 39th African Union Summit has opened in Addis Ababa with the Executive Council bringing together foreign affairs ministers from across the continent. Over the coming days, delegates will deliberate on major challenges facing African countries, from unconstitutional changes of government and rising insecurity to economic prospects and the effects of climate change. AU Commission Chairperson Mohamed Ali Yusuf outlined these priorities while declaring the summit open.
We are all aware of the limited effectiveness of marathon summits. The success of our meetings largely depends on our ability to focus on strategic issues and on matters that demand the highest priority.
For the host nation, Ethiopia, expanding access to water and improving sanitation systems, the central focus of this year's summit will require stronger collaboration and increased investment. Ambassador Berhanu Segai is Ethiopia's State Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Africa is blessed with majestic rivers like the Nile, Congo, Niger, and Zambezi, and great lakes like Victoria, Tanganyika, and Malawi. Our approach towards these resources should be guided by the principle of Ubuntu, taking into account the needs, situations, and aspirations of all concerned.
In his keynote address, the Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Clever Gatete, stressed that transforming Africa's trajectory will require deliberate efforts to industrialize economies, boost intra-African trade, and build human capacity.
If we finance our infrastructure, integrate our markets, add value to our resources, and trade more with each other, Africa will not just participate in the global economy, it will help to shape it.
The summit aims to deliver actionable policies to improve water and sanitation access for millions, accelerate progress toward the SDGs, and advance the AU's Agenda 2063. From Addis Ababa, I'm Abdullahi Hassan, reporting for WADR.
Away from the AU summit to security matters, the United States government will shortly deploy around 200 troops to Nigeria to assist in training the country's military against Islamist militant groups. This decision was confirmed on Tuesday by military officials from both countries. This is coming weeks after President Donald Trump authorized airstrikes targeting what he described as Islamic State positions in the region. Christopher Teacher completes the story.
The announcements represent the first official acknowledgement of American forces on the ground following Washington's Christmas Day air raids. The additional troops are intended to support a limited number of U.S. personnel already in the country who have been working with Nigerian forces to strengthen counter-terrorism operations. The U.S. has reportedly applied pressure on Nigeria, alleging that authorities have failed to protect Christian communities from Islamist militants in the northwest. First, Nigerian officials reject claims of targeting specific religious groups, emphasizing that military operations are aimed at armed fractions threatening both Christians and Muslims. The country has faced a persistent threat from Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, whose attack on military convoys and civilians have escalated in recent months. The Northwest continues to be a hotspot in Nigeria's 17-year struggle against Islamist insurgency. Nigeria's population exceeds 230 million, with Christians concentrated mainly in the south and Muslims predominantly in the north, reflecting the nation's diverse religious landscape.
Christopher Tijofalda reports. Still in Nigeria, the federal government says it has secured over $23 million in funding from international partners to expand access to eye care services. These services will be targeted at underserved communities throughout the country. Health authorities state that enhancing eye care services is part of a wider initiative to improve primary health care delivery and reduce preventable disabilities nationwide. Our Abuja correspondent Yechin Sasic reports.
The federal government says new partnerships with global health organizations and private sector donors are set to strengthen eye health systems and improve access to treatment nationwide. Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako, disclosed that the funding will support large-scale eye care interventions, including school screenings, workforce training, and expanded access to affordable vision services.
We have empowered over 800 primary healthcare centers to deliver this service. Some of them deliver it routinely. The eye health services has been integrated in their routine primary healthcare services. They can do screening, they can do counseling, they can measure visual acuity, make prescription, if necessary, make referrals.
According to Minister Salako, the initiative includes programs such as the Vision Quest Nigeria Multi-State Project and the Bloomberg Focus on Vision Project aimed at integrating eye care into primary healthcare and reaching communities that currently lack adequate services. He noted that millions of Nigerians live with avoidable visual impairment, stressing that improved access to eye treatments can enhance productivity, learning outcomes, and overall quality of life.
Going forward this year, you will see us working a lot more with faith-based organizations, going into IDP camps, going into religious gatherings so that we can penetrate deeper into the community.
Under the initiative, over 1.6 million school-aged children are expected to benefit from eye screenings, while thousands of teachers and healthcare workers will receive training to support early detection and referral. Officials say the program also includes the distribution of free reading glasses and the deployment of digital monitoring tools to track progress and ensure accountability. Health authorities add that strengthening eye care services is part of broader efforts to improve primary healthcare delivery and reduce preventable disabilities across the country. For WADR, Yechini Sasitu in Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Liberia is commemorating the 69th Armed Forces Remembrance Day. This annual event is held on February 11 to honor Army officers for their dedicated service to the nation and its people. The theme for this year's celebration is Securing Liberia Together, strengthening integration, collaboration against drug trafficking and emerging security threats. It highlights the vital need for a unified approach to tackle the complex security challenges facing the country. The keynote speaker for the official ceremony is Lieutenant General Wadr Shuaibu, the Chief of Army Staff of the Nigerian Army. In his keynote address, General Shuaibu mentioned the strong military ties between Nigeria and Liberia and emphasized Nigeria's steadfast support for Liberia's peace and stability.
The Armed Forces of Liberia stands as a shining example of what international collaboration and regional cooperation stands to achieve. The relationship between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Republic of Liberia is one forged in shared history of mutual sacrifice. Our military ties in particular are deep-rooted. Nigerians' commitment to Liberia's peace and stability during the Economic Community of West African Monetary Group years remain a cornerstone of our foreign policy solidarity and a shining example of African brotherhood. We stood together during the most challenging times, and today we stand together in celebration and collaboration. The transformation of the armed forces of Liberia into a force for good is a journey that Nigeria has been proud to support through training, mentorship, strategic partnership, and recently in adversary capacity. The bond is unbreakable, and our presence here today reaffirms our commitment to the security of the West African sub-region. This year's theme, Securing Liberia Together, Strengthening Interagency Collaboration against Drug Trafficking and Emerging Security Threats, is both timely and critical. In the contemporary security environment, no single agency, no matter how well equipped, can counter security threats alone.
Nigerian Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Wadr returned to Burkina Faso, where the authorities have shut down 38 private healthcare facilities in the Guriko region, effective immediately. The decision was announced by the regional governor, Mariama Konate. Recent inspections by the authorities revealed that the affected facilities were operating illegally and without the necessary legal permits. Sankli Jango tells us more in this report.
The decision was announced in a decree signed on February 4, 2026 by Mariama Konate, governor of Guriko region. According to authorities, the complaints against these facilities are nearly identical. They lack the necessary decrees for their creation, opening, and operation. The affected facilities are located in the provinces of Wadr, Tui, and Kenedugo. In the municipality of Bobojulaso, well-known local facilities such as the Ore Clinic, the Jiguia Medical Center, and the Renaissance Health Center are also impacted by this measure. In some instances, such as the Notre Dame de Sia Clinic in Dafra and the Lucas Private Care Practice in Haoundé, the establishments were already closed at the time of the inspection or were unable to provide any documentation. Additionally, unlicensed clinics operating at gold mining sites, particularly in Joso, are targeted. The decree specifies that anyone violating these provisions will face disciplinary action. The Regional Secretary General, Provincial High Commissioners, and regional heads of the Gendarmerie and the National Police are responsible for the strict enforcement of this decision. Authorities indicated that this public health initiative aims to ensure the population has access to quality health care provided by facilities legally recognized by the Burkinabe state.
Sankli Janko reporting there. Here in Senegal, the government is addressing public concerns about the death of a student at Sheikh Anta Diop University in Dakar. The deceased, Abdoulaye Ba, a second-year medical student, died on Monday following clashes with police during students' demonstration. In response to growing public pressure, the government held a press conference on Tuesday. Several ministers provided clarifications and announced legal measures regarding the incident. Usman Ral tells us more in this report.
The first to speak out was the Minister of Higher Education, faced with the anger of students who justified their protest by citing payment delays. Dauda Ngom felt compelled to provide clarifications.
Regarding the scholarship issue that sparked the unrest, there may have been a misunderstanding between the students and the administration because since the beginning of the academic year, scholarships have been paid regularly. To date, the state owns no scholarship arrears to the students.
On the security front, the deployment of law enforcement into the heart of the university campus, a normally protected area, has sparked strong criticism. The Minister of the Interior, Mamadou Bamba Sise, addresses this intervention and makes some revelations.
From the first hours, the public prosecutor's office was seized so that the whole truth could be revealed and that responsibilities could be borne without weakness or protection.
Another state institution present at the press conference was the Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice announces the opening of an investigation to determine those responsible for the student's death.
About 10 days ago, we received information that led to searches of students' residences, which resulted in the discovery of tear gas grenades. A surprise search uncovered bladed and blunt weapons, indicating that some individuals were planning to attack the campus infrastructure, and therefore the presence of the security forces in the area was solely motivated by a desire to protect these public assets.
Meanwhile, The students set the tone of response even before the government address. In a press statement, Student Association Collective declared a complete cessation of academic activities. The students announced legal action against the Senegalese government at both the national and international levels.
Usman Umar voiced that report. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and online at wadr.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. 39th African Union Summit gets underway in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. U.S. government to deploy 200 troops to combat Islamist militants in Nigeria. Burkina Faso shuts down nearly 40 private health centers over illegal operations. And still ahead in the news, Ghana's Parliament Speaker orders reintroduction of anti-LGBTQ bill for plenary debate. We do have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, we are streaming live on wadr.org and fuller live streams on YouTube and Facebook. Traveling to Ghana now, where parliamentarians are expected to renew debate on the contentious Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025, commonly known as the Anti-LGBTQ Bill. On Tuesday, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagby, ruled that the proposed legislation meets constitutional and procedural requirement for reintroduction. This decision comes amid increasing pressure from the minority in Parliament, which accuses the ruling administration of delaying the passage of a bill it campaigned for ahead of the 2024 general election. WDL's Accra correspondent Nadi Ditite reports.
Addressing the House on Tuesday, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, reminded members that the legislation was first introduced in August 2021 and passed by the 8th Parliament in February 2024, but lapsed after it failed to receive presidential assent before that Parliament was dissolved. After the inauguration of the 9th Parliament, he said the bill was referred to the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice in January 2025 for review, with the Attorney General's observations later forwarded to its sponsors. 9 MPs subsequently indicated their intention to reintroduce the legislation, among them Samnati George, Emmanuel Kwesi Bedra, Reverend John Intimfojo, Helen Ntoso, and Vincent Akwasifua. Speaker Bagbin said the Committee on Private Members' Bill and Private Members' Motions unanimously advised that the bill could proceed, concluding that it does not breach constitutional provisions or impose any charge on the Consolidated Fund, clearing the way for its return to the floor of the House.
The bill does not contravene any constitutional provision, particularly Articles 106 and 108 of the 1992 Constitution. The bill does not contain any provision that seeks to impose taxation or charge on the Consolidated Fund or other public funds of Ghana, or impose payment, issue, or withdrawal from the Consolidated Fund. The committee, by a unanimous decision, advised that the bill be introduced in the House.
Following his ruling, Speaker Bagbin formally instructed the Business Committee of the Parliament of Ghana to schedule the bill for presentation and consideration by the House. For WDR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
In the Gambia, youth leaders from across the country are participating in civil engagement training ahead of the December 5, 2026 general elections. This 3-day training is an initiative of Action Aid International in collaboration with the Gambian government and Hakalang Senela Kafo, a local community organization. The program aims to enhance inclusive civic space and empower marginalized young people to actively engage in national development efforts. WDL's Banjo correspondent Sangdana Mendy reports.
Young people under the age of 35 make up nearly 3/4 of the Gambia's population, positioning them at the center of the country's democratic future. According to organizers, the program aims to equip these young individuals with the skills necessary to resist political manipulation, promote dialogue instead of conflict, and advocate for peaceful change. Bakari Njai, coordinator of Hakalang Senela Kafu, a community-based organization, welcomes this initiative.
This training is very important to young people, simply because it will raise their awareness on civil matters, educate them their responsibility as young people towards the national development as citizens of the country. Participants will learn to know their responsibility and their rights as young people of the country.
Njai believes the knowledge gained during the training will benefit not only the participants but also their communities.
These young people would utilize the knowledge from this training by sensitizing other people in their communities to raise their awareness as well on their civic rights and also their responsibilities.
Meanwhile, discussions also focused on personal integrity and ethical leadership, particularly for young leaders who operate under public scrutiny. The initiative, supported by the UN Peace Building Fund, coincides with the Gambia's preparation for the 2026 elections. Organizers emphasize that such efforts are vital for building a more accountable and democratic society. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdona Mendy, reporting from Banjul.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview focuses on the 39th African Union Summit, which kicked off today in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Experts are highlighting groundwater as a sustainable solution to Africa's growing water crisis. At a UNDP pre-summit meeting themed on unlocking groundwater investments through strategic partnership, they called for stronger political will and increased funding, especially amid conflict and climate change. So far, over $3 billion has been invested supporting at least 64 pipeline projects aimed at boosting cooperation, peace, and food security. IGAD, a major partner in GAFA, says the initiative is transforming lives, particularly for women and girls. Maureen Acheng is IGAD's permanent representative to the African Union.
The GAFA initiative is what we heard from the perspective of two member states and then the perspective of philanthropic entity. It is an initiative that seeks to work closely with governments to help them unlock investments in groundwater and by so doing help to make available water resources in marginalized regions, in this instance in the Horn of Africa. It is, for the moment, focused in the Horn of Africa, but it's continental in remit. The focus on the Horn of Africa means that the partner of choice for UNDP for this particular side event was IGAD. IGAD being an intergovernmental organization that brings together 7 member states from the Horn of Africa. So in short, this is about helping governments to secure, mobilize the funding that they need to get the investments they need to unlock water resources, basically make safe drinking water available to marginalized populations.
What were some of the existing issues or challenges in the Horn of Africa that phase 1 of GAFA has resolved?
I think we heard from a few of the presenters during the panel discussions about how they are managing to ensure that water resources across national borders are shared. I think this is a phenomenal example, demonstration, if you will, of how an initiative such as GAFA can help to minimize the triggers of conflict. If water scarcity is likely to trigger conflict, it's a no-brainer that you address that by making water more available than it is and figuring out solutions to sharing it.
So beyond being IGAD permanent representative, you are a woman, you are a mother, you are right now the face to the struggle for millions of women who have been denied several of their rights and privileges when it comes to natural resource. One of them is water. Do you think with this project that there will be a quick reversal of this ugly trend to have women economic empowerment sustained, the retention of the girl child in school increased?
Well, making potable water available is a game changer. It means women and girls do not have to spend long hours searching for water, that time could be more effectively put to other income-generating activities, or in the case of girls going to school, like their male siblings. So it is a critical priority for many governments in this region, understanding the disproportionate impact that the lack of water has on women and girls.
What do you see as the future of the GAFA initiative, which really hopes to extend, but you only extend when there is good funding?
Well, the plan, not just of IGAD, but of many of our member states, is to look to new sources of funding, with the old traditional sources of funding drying up, as you've rightly noted. It is incumbent upon us to continuously reflect on new ways of mobilizing resources, hence the decision to partner with SIF in this instance. And SIF has been extremely impactful in terms of helping key countries in the region to unlock their groundwater potential.
That was Maureen Achieng, IGAD's permanent representative to the African Union. Well, in sport news, we have a cricket story as the ongoing World Cup, where South Africa defeated Afghanistan in a thrilling T20 World Cup clash in Ahmedabad, winning after 2 super overs in one of the tournament's most dramatic finishes. After both teams were tied at the end of regulation and the first super over, David Miller's explosive 16 runs in the second super over helped seal a 4-run victory for Proteas. It marks only the third time in men's T20 international history that a match has been decided by multiple super overs. In football, Tottenham Hotspur has sacked manager Thomas Frank following a poor run of result that left the club 16th in the Premier League, just 5 points above the relegation zone. The Danish coach appointed last summer departs with the lowest point per game record of any Spurs manager after 5 matches. Meanwhile, in France, Olympique de Marseille have parted ways with Roberto De Zerbi by mutual agreement after a string of disappointing performances capped by a 5-0 defeat to Paris Saint-Germain. Club officials say the team needs a reset to avoid a troubled end to the season. And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Maudajo for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming in all of our social media platforms, X, Instagram, and Facebook at WDR English. I am Imo Edet. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kaigama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.